Generally, when you are writing CSS, we call them as cascading rules. Cascading rules. So cascading rules, some important rules we need to understand. So what are the cascading rules? Generally, in the cascading rules, when you are writing the rules, so let's take example. When we are writing the rules, suppose we have some heading. So for heading, so we want to apply some effects. Suppose HTML like this heading. I want to apply some effects. So we return here heading. We want to add effects into heading. We want to add effects into the heading. So I am writing here, so color as red. So the color as red. We are adding the color as red. We defined that color as red. Okay. Now I am writing again the same color as blue. That means if we are redefining same element again, we are redefining same element again. Now what it is going to do is, it is going to replace the existing and keep the new one. Keep the new one. That means now what will be the color of heading? What will be the color of heading? The color of heading will be blue, right? Okay, now you can see that the color of heading here, yeah, the color of heading will be blue. Okay, suppose I am adding here text align center. Now these new effects are applied. That means if you are defining the effects, if you are configuring the effects, if you are defining or configuring the effects again, then the second one will be applied. Then the second one will be applied. That means you can say the latest one will be applied. The latest one will be applied. So the latest one will be applied. That is very important to understand. So if you are redefining, always the latest one will apply. Latest one will apply. Okay. That is one option. That is one option. Second important option is when you are defining so selectors in this way. Suppose currently heading, that is type selector. I am giving dot heading, that means class selector. I am giving class and type, and here I am using color as green, and I will apply that class also here, class, then heading class. So if a element is defined with both type and class, if a heading is defined with both type and class, then it will first give priority to the class. Remember, if it has to give priority for type and class, it will give first priority to class. It will give priority to class. That means now this will be applied. For example, you see now it will be applied. Now for example, so that means green will be applied. That means out of those two, so which will be applied? Which one will be applied? Out of those two, class is given more priority. Class is given more priority. For example, here one more point you need to know. Suppose I said text align equal to center. And you can observe that. So in the type selector, we given text align center. And you can see that text align center is working. That means if the same effects are written the class options will work. If any effect is additionally written, that will work automatically. That means, can we apply both type selector and class selector? Yes, we can apply both type selector and class selector. Then which one it will give first priority? If same effects are there, then it will apply class. Any additional effects are there, it will get from the type selector. It doesn't mean that it will apply only class. It will apply the class and it will apply the type, both of them, but priority it will give to heading if the same, means it will give to the class if both have same. If same effects are there, then it will give first priority to class. It will give the first priority to class. So when we are working with the selectors, so this is very important to understand. So suppose there is an ID also. Suppose there is an ID also. That means we also have an ID, hash head, and the color is suppose blue. Now I am applying ID also. So that is head. Remember, it doesn't matter where you write. That means you write this ID at the top or in between, anywhere, wherever you write. As per the CSS rules, you need to understand one important point. As per the CSS rules, you should know that first priority is given for. First priority is given for ID. Second priority is given for class. Third priority is given for type. That means if all are there, then it will apply according to the priority. If all are there, then it is going to apply according to the priority. That means first priority is given for type select, ID selector, second for class, and third for type. That means if you apply ID also, then it will apply the ID one first. It will give priority to the ID. So ID selector is first priority. So when you are defining effects, if you are defining effects and configuring the effects, so these are important options to understand. So can we apply all the three to one element? So can we apply all the three to one element? Yes, we can apply all the three. If all are having same, which one it will take first priority? ID. After that class, after that type. Suppose in ID you have a different effect, in class you have a different effect, and in type you have a different effect. All the three will apply. So it depends on the selector. All the three will apply. So when you are configuring the styles, we need to understand about these styles, how we can work and how we can configure with the styles. Generally, that is the basic CSS rule. You need to understand. So in CSS, this is the first important point. Okay. Second important, you have to know about the inheritance in CSS. We need to know about the inheritance in CSS. So inheritance in CSS, what is inheritance and how do we handle the inheritance in CSS? This is very important to understand. Actually, in CSS, inheritance is one important concept. It allows extensibility of effects and reusability of effects. Up to certain extent we can reuse and we can extend. So generally when you are writing CSS, you have to use these inheritance properties. What are the inheritance properties we are having? So we have inheritance properties like inherit. we have inherit, so we have initial, we have unset, unset. So we also have revert, but revert will not be supported for all browsers, so we are not using this anymore. When you are defining inheritance can be inherit, it can be initial, or it can be unset. This is very important, especially when you want to reuse the effects. These are very important. So generally, what are these options? How we can use these options? We will see one example. Means how we can handle and how we can configure this, we will see that. Generally, inherit, initial, unset, these are used to apply the effects without ending. For example, later we can see in several other options also. So first here, I am configuring a simple, I am defining here, I will remove this. Okay. So let's add a simple option here. So we are configuring here. I'm adding a simple ordered list. Okay. In that we have list item. Okay. In that list item, so we will put a span. And in that we return some para 1, some item 1 or para 1, something like this, item 1. Okay. And here we are giving a class as item 1. So similarly, I have another list item. So class some item 2. And we have a span. So, and in that we return item 2. We will see different examples to understand all the concept, right? Now, what we are trying to configure here is, I am writing another class item 3. And so we will keep a span. And here I say item 3. This is a general ordered list defined there. So item 1, 2, 3. Now I want to apply the effects here. I'm configuring the effects here. The point is, suppose I want to give list item. List item color I given as some blue. That means now what will happen here? All the list items will turn into blue color. All the list items turn into blue color. We are changing everything into blue. So we are configuring and changing everything into blue. So technically, now everything is turned into blue. Now what we have to do is, I am writing effect for item 2. In item 2, so we have a span. We are writing for span. For the span, what we are doing is color. We are writing color. Any effect, color, width, height, size, anything. If I give as inherit, that means it will inherit the parent color. Whatever the parent effect is there, it will inherit. That means you can see that it is having the same color. What is the parent is having, it will have the same color. Inherit. Suppose I am giving item 3 span. Here I will put color as initial. Initial means, generally the concept of initial is nothing but, initial means it will set the color which was before this color applied. That means before the blue color applied, what is the color? It will get that color. Before the blue color applied, what was the color? it will get that initial color. And you see that the initial color is black, it will get that. That means for color, for height, for width, anywhere you can write initial. Initial means it will not apply that effect, it will take the previous one. That means before it was applied with effect, what was there, it will get it. Instead of that, suppose I use unset. Unset means it will remove that effect. That means if it is removing the effect, then what happens? Again it turns into black. That means it will unset that. We will see, but that is suitable with a different situation. I will tell you when to unset. So generally 2 points are very important first to understand. What are the 2 points? One is inherit. Inherit means it implements the parent. Okay. Initial means before the effects are applied, what was the effect, it will get it. Unset means it will clean the effects. Automatically, when it cleans the effects, it will return to initial only. That means if you unset, finally it will return to initial. That is the reason unset and initial look same, but they are not same. Initial is setting the primary effect. Unset is removing the effect. When it removes, it becomes primary. So I will show you one best example for that also, right? We will see one best example for that. How we can handle, we will see one simple example for that. Generally, what are the effects? I will show you one simple screen to understand how to handle these options. For example, that means how to use all options, effects, and how to apply them. See, suppose we have a paragraph. So this is para 1, okay, and we have another paragraph. So this is para 2, and for this we will use a class called effects. We will use the class effects. So that is, so options defined here. So technically, now what we need to do is here, what we have to do here is in the style, we are configuring the style. In the style, I am defining, in the style I am configuring here. So one important option, that is, I will write P. P is for paragraph. Background color as red, okay, and color as white, okay, and border as 2 pixel solid, some black, okay. So here we are writing these effects, and this is a general one. That means we are configuring the effects and defining the effects here. For paragraph, I am configuring that effect. Okay, now what we will do is we will write the class. So we will write the class effects. Effects class is used for second paragraph. So second paragraph. Now generally what happens is it is going to use all of them. It is going to use all of them and it is going to handle all of them. Right. That means you can see that these effects are applied for both paragraphs. For second paragraph, I don't want these effects. For the second paragraph, I don't want these effects. Then what we do is here, or any specific effects you want. Suppose you want to apply, so the all effects you want to clean up, you can use the word all actually. And here you can use 3 options. That means all effects of parent, what you want to apply. I will write as unset. I will write as unset, all unset. That means you can see that it is going to remove it. It is going to remove all those effects. Suppose I defined this as initial. So initial, you can see that it is also same. Now many times people have a confusion. They ask like, Sir, both are looking same. Actually, both are not same. Initial means it is not removing, it is applying the effects which are first there. It is applying the effects which are first there. And unset means it is removing the effects. It is going to remove the effects. So it is not same. That means after unset, it will go to, after unset, generally it will go to this initial. Finally, it will go to initial. So if I say inherit, inherit means it will implement all those effects that will be applied for second paragraph also. But what to inherit, you have to tell the specific options. For example, see now, all you can here, suppose I am applying in the effects, what we are doing in the effects, we are configuring. So the color we set initial, but actually the color was white and we say initial. That means all the effects are applied, but only color is not applied. I want border to reset. That means I don't want border to apply, I want border to reset. Then we are just writing here border as unset. I am using border unset. That means you see border is not applied. That means you can apply the initial, you can reset it. If you want to affect all of them, that means by default it will inherit the background color. That means background color, what it is doing, it is inheriting. Background color, it is inheriting, right? We don't need to write that. By default, background color is inherited. We need to just write. So as color, border, how you want to apply. Initial will set the color before it was changed to white. It will put the initial color. And border unset means it will clean up the border. It will remove those effects. It will not apply the effects. So we have three important options. We will see several examples, but these you have to understand. These you have to know. Several examples we will see, but these you need to understand regularly. These you need to know regularly. In several examples, we can use them now. So inherit, that means it gets the parent colors, the parent effects. Initial means sets to primary, and unset means cleans and sets to primary. That is what actually that happens generally. These are all technically working with the CSS inheritance. We will use in various examples and various options, we will work with them. So before starting with CSS, we have to know about these two options, very important. So that is one is how we can apply this, how we can handle the rules. That means if I apply ID, class, type, which one will work, and if I want any effect to reuse or if I want any effect to cancel, how to do that. For that we have to remember these three words: inherit, initial and unset, that we have to do. So this is basically how the cascading rules are used. The cascading rules will work. So CSS rules and CSS inheritance. So first we have to understand these three. Before that, CSS selectors. To start CSS, you have to know this very perfectly. And once you start working with CSS, now in the CSS, we need to know the other options like CSS colors. Already, how to apply colors, how we can configure the colors. We learned some options. We can define color name. We can apply color code. We can also apply RGB. This is hexa code. So we can apply by hexa code. RGB. We can apply so RGBA. We can apply RGBA, that means red, green, blue. So we can apply RGBA. So alpha channel, that is setting for transparency, which is used for transparency. We can use that. So first we need to understand that in CSS, in HTML it will allow only two. In HTML it will allow name and hexacode. But in CSS, additionally you can add RGB and RGBA, red, green, blue values. So already alpha value with alpha value. Already I showed you how we can apply name and hexacode. Generally hexacode is written. How hexacode is written, remember now? What is the minimum value of hexacode? What is the minimum value of hexacode? Remember? We learned hexacode minimum value is how much? 0, 0. Maximum value how much? Maximum value how much? 0 to F. Am I right? 0 to F. That means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. F is the maximum. It should preside with hash. It should preside with hash. It can be 3 characters or it can be 6 characters. Am I right? It can be 3 characters or it can be 6 characters. Already we discussed about hexacode, and we discussed about the name, how you can apply the colors. So now another option is RGB, RGBA you can apply here. So generally when you are applying colors, suppose body. So I can body background color. So the color I can apply the colors with RGBA. RGB. Generally RGB is so red, green, blue. RGB is red, green, blue. So first you have to write red value and green value and blue value. And these red, green, blue values, every value can be up to 0 to 255. Red 0 to 255, green 0 to 255, blue 0 to 255. You can give red, green, blue values. For example, I will show you one simple option here. So let's create a simple screen first here. I will just design here. Temporarily, to make you understand, I will just create a login screen, data list, data term, and here I am saying username and data definition. Input type is equal to text and data, so password, and data definition input type is equal to password. Okay, and here we have button. So login button is there. So this is a simple screen we have designed. Okay, so everything I kept in a div. Okay, so just here we define class as container, and for this container I am applying, for the container I am applying some border 2 pixel solid. So I defined like this and the border radius, so radius, so 20 pixel. Padding I said some 20 pixel. Like this we design, and we will add some effects also later into this. That is generally we have this. Okay, just roughly we have this. Now the container, so and body. In the body I have a background image. I will tell you about images now. We will discuss about them. Background image uses URL. So it is in assets. So that is shoe.jpg. Later I will show you how to apply background image. First observe the concept. So there is a background image. So we have a background image. And this container is having some width, some 300 pixel, the width adjusted here, and align items center. So justify content center. These effects we are going to handle, and we need to keep height also some 400 pixel like that. So that is not required for this one. For body we will give there. Okay, initially this is the effect. So now what we are doing is we are applying some background color. So we are defining background color. So we don't need these also now. Later we will apply background color. I am using RGB, red, green, blue. Red value, it can be 0 to 255. I will put here as 200. So green value, so it can also be 0 to 255. So red, green, blue. So I am applying between 0 to 255. And you can see that these are the red, green, blue values combination, and it will get you that color. It will display that. So it is going to handle that. So that is basically how it is going to handle the color. Now you can change it. Suppose red value to 100. So green value to some, so 230. So red, yeah, 230. So you will see the green value will be more increased here. But what is happening in this is, it is going to, so suppose later I will get margin auto, we will keep that. It will be center like this. If I give margin auto, it will be like this. And now what happens is, in the background there is an image. This background color is blocking that image. We want this color transparent. Red, green, blue combination you can use here. So that means mix 0 to 255 it can be. Then if I want red color, then how I can write? If I want red color, then RGB, I can put it 255. Others I can put 00. That is red, green, blue. Now this is not transparent, solid color. RGBA. A is alpha channel. That means we can give red value, green value, blue value, and alpha. And alpha actually will be from, you can apply alpha you can apply from 0. So that means 0 to, so that means 0.0 you can apply to 0 to 1. You can apply to 1. That means you can apply, so to 0 to 1. That means you can apply 0.3, 0.5, 0.6 like that. Then you can observe that. Now here I will use RGBA. In the alpha channel, here last value will be alpha, 0 I am giving. That is empty, that is nothing is there. I am writing here 0.3. You can see that green color will be so transparent now. That green color will be transparent. You can see through in the background. Even if you put a light color without alpha, it will not show what is in the background. It will not be transparent. But now it is transparent. You can increase the transparent levels. And you can use them. So how we can increase the transparent levels? So what we can do is, I said here 0.8. That means it is making more darker. Then you can see it will be darker. So I can keep it 1. That means no transparency, solid. I can reduce that. So I can reduce that. I have point some 4. Then it will be little transparent. You can make it more transparent. So we can apply this RGBA. So red, green, blue values you can apply and you can configure them. Generally, when you are applying the colors, these are important to handle. These are very important to handle. How we can apply the back colors, not only for backgrounds, for text, for background, colors can be name, it can be hexacode, it can be RGB, it can be RGBA. You can also apply in CSS, you can also apply CSS gradients. Gradients is nothing but it is a combination of 2, 3, 4 colors, mixing of multiple colors. You can mix multiple colors and you can apply. So we can allow multiple colors and transitions for those colors. That is what gradient is. So we have to apply this gradient also. We can apply the gradients also. How we can configure the gradient colors? That means how to use the gradient colors. Generally, gradient colors are nothing but usually we have 2 types of gradients. So one is linear gradients, and we have radial gradient. How to apply these gradient colors? Let's see. Linear gradient and radial gradient, how we can apply. Actually, linear gradients are usually applying effects from left, right, up and down. Radial gradients means to center. They will apply towards the center. Gradient colors are nothing but a combination of multiple colors can be applied. For example, see here, how we can apply gradient colors. So to the content. Remember, to apply the gradient colors, anywhere to apply the gradient colors, we have to apply by using background. We have to apply by using background image. We have to use background image. Gradient colors cannot be applied with a background color. We have to apply only through background image. For background image, or for any container. So we can also define like border image. You can also use border image. We can use background image. We can use border images also. Border images you will learn in the later stage. Even background image also. That means when you are applying multiple colors, you have to apply through background image. We have to apply through background image. So in the background image, we can use linear gradient. The linear gradient is expecting the colors you want to apply. So linear gradient is a method through that we have to apply the colors. So what colors you want to apply? You can use 2 colors, 3 colors. I will use red and I will use yellow. So yellow, red and yellow. These are the 2 colors we are writing. That means the background it will use 2 colors. So one is red and yellow. You have to apply through image. Gradient cannot be applied directly with the background. You have to apply by using background image. So with background image, we are applying the linear gradient. Observe now, it is going to apply like this. The combination of 2 colors. You can apply not only color name, color codes, you can apply RGB also. That means red and yellow I want transparent. If I want red and yellow transparent, then I can write here RGBA. So and here we said red 255 and green is 0. So blue is 0. And alpha channel I will put as 0.2. So that means I will put 0.3 like this. This is red transparent, You can apply that. This is gradient colors. We are mixing the colors. Multiple colors can be applied. You can keep them transparent. And you can put multiple, not only two colors, your wish. That means in the linear gradient, I said red, so I said yellow, or I said blue, your wish. You can add any number of colors. Then automatically it is going to apply these colors. So it is going to apply that gradient. But linear means you can see, so they are from top to bottom. You can change the direction for that. You can change the direction for that. What you can do, we can put to right, to left, to bottom right, to bottom left. So you can write like this when you are applying. So before the colors you configure, colors you configure here, we can add a value there. Before the colors you write, you can write a value there. The value is like to right. You can add to right. If I added to right, that means you can see that it will be towards right side, left to right. The orientation you can change. You can change the orientation to right. You can say to top right. Suppose I can say to top right. That means right side top. It will be from left side bottom to right side top. You can change the directions. To right, to bottom, to left, to top, to bottom left, to bottom right, to top left, like that. So we can change the direction and we can configure the direction. You can rotate by any specific degrees also. You can rotate by any specific degree. You can rotate by specific angle also. That means you can simply write here. So you can simply write here instead of to top right. You can say 45 degree. That means it will be in the 45 degrees. You can put it as some 60 degree. Then it will be in 60 degree. It will change that. So it will be like 90 degree. So, and you can see it is changing in that. You can put any direction. You can put minus, so 60 degree. So that means it will be negative, opposite direction will come. You can add in any direction. So 60 degree, it will be in this direction. You can put multiple colors, any number of colors, not only 3. You can add several colors with the gradients you can define. Gradient, you can put an angle. So gradient we can define with multiple colors. Gradient can be transparent. Gradient have another technique called gradient repeat. How much percent that color should repeat? We can write that gradient repeat also. That means instead of writing like this, we can write here repeating linear gradient. Repeating linear gradient, we have to tell the colors. Suppose red, okay, that is the first color. Second color, yellow. Okay, how much percent yellow? You can tell the percentage of yellow also. Yellow, I want only 10%. Okay, how much percent green? I want 20% green. That means the majority percent will be red. And you can see that the percentages you can share. That is repeating gradients. We call this as repeating gradients. We can repeat the gradients. We can define like that. You can put any angle, any degree, any directions, you can configure them. This is the gradient colors. We can apply the gradient colors and we can configure the gradient colors. That's how we are going to deal with the gradient colors, working with the gradient colors. So important is the gradient colors are very important. So when you are you want to apply shades, effects, transparencies, we can do that by using, but you cannot apply through color. You have to apply through image. Color don't have directly to handle gradients. You have to use a background image. Through background image, you have to apply this. If you give both background color and image, only image will dominate. Color will not come. And gradients can be applied only through this image. Instead of linear, you can use radial. You can use radial. Radial means like towards center. We will have radial. Radial gradient. Radial gradient same. Suppose I say red, I said yellow, same. So you can see towards the center they will apply like this. Yellow outside, so red towards the center. You can change the order, suppose any color. So you can say yellow, red. That means you can see the order of that will be. So it will, you can apply the gradients and you can configure the gradient colors here. That is towards the center. Towards the center. You can put percentage also. That means repeating gradient with percentage. That means you can set here. You can put this transparency also. Same like gradient. That means you can apply here yellow, or you can say apply red. So RGBA and 255.00, and alpha channel we will apply so 0.3. That will be better for transparency. It will get transparency. So you can apply accordingly. You can use the radial also repeating. That means repeating radial gradient. Here also same. So we defined red. I said some yellow. Yellow is some 10%. I said green. Green is 20%. You can apply like this. This will be repeating radial gradient. It will be like this. You can apply different types of colors and combinations. These are generally gradients, how we can apply the gradients. Gradients can be defined for backgrounds and borders. So sometimes we have a doubt like, can I have image as text gradient? Suppose I want alphabet A, B, C, some title gradient. Such title gradients are designed by using a concept called canvas. By using canvas SVG, we design such gradients, right? Not directly you can apply only for backgrounds and borders. You can apply these kind of effects. You can use gradients. So, but you have to apply through an image property. You need to configure. So entire body also we can apply. So it's not like you are applying in the container. Suppose I am applying in the body. That means body background. I am applying those gradient colors. That means the entire page will be having that background. We can make background center, background repeat. You can put in any direction. You can configure in any way. That is generally when you are applying the effects and configuring the effects. So in CSS, you have to know how to apply the colors and gradients, the linear gradients and the radial gradients, right? So that is generally CSS colors, CSS gradients, and the basic CSS rules, how we can work with the rules. Next important, after understanding that, we need to know CSS units, measurements, how to give. All these days you have seen pixels, or I told you percentage. When you give the units, height, width, I given you pixels and percentage. But CSS provides the units, so which you have to apply. Generally, CSS units, actually, different types are present. Different types of CSS units are present. What are those units? Actually, CSS units are classified into two types. One is absolute length units, and another one is we have relative length units. That means absolute length units means they will apply to an element without considering what is parent, what is child, how parent is there, how child is there. It will not care about that. it will directly apply this effect. It will directly apply this effect. So that means it is not going to consider what is the parent style, what is the child style. It is directly going to apply. But relative units will change according to parent and child. That means how much parent is that? Depending on parent, it will apply to child. How much child is there? Depending on that, it will apply to again inner. These all relative length units. So I will show you the difference. We will see. Absolute length units, so many are there. You can apply cm, this is centimeters, mm, millimeters, q, quarter meters, in, inch, pc, picas, pt, points, px, pixels. So why you have so many? Because generally we prefer mostly pixels. We prefer mostly pixels only. Screen presentation means pixels only. Sometimes we design for printing. Then when we design for printing, we expect centimeters, we expect millimeters based on the measurements of papers, pages, so in inches. So that means how many inches height, width. Because generally, suppose you see, you want to print on legal letter size. Legal letter size of paper will be there, which is called 8.5 inches width, 8.5 inches width, and 11 inches height will be there. So depending on the width and height, it is going to handle that. So these are generally basically used for measurement units. In that case, we will go with inches. On-screen presentation means we will use pixels only. But what is centimeter? What is millimeter? Means how much actually? Generally, centimeter. 1 centimeter means it is 96 pixels. 1 centimeter means 96 pixels by 2.54. That is the value. That means approximately 37 pixels. That means 1 centimeter is equal to 37 pixels. 1 centimeter is equal to 37 pixels. It will be measured like this. That means finally the screen resolution will be measured with pixel only. But why developers use centimeters, millimeters, inches? Because they can easily understand according to where they are presenting. If they are trying to design which is presented on a paper, then according to paper size, they will mention in inches. Automatically, it will finally convert into pixels only. That means developers can use various. Suppose if I use millimeter, actually millimeter is nothing but 1/10 of 1 centimeter. That means very less than centimeter. 1/10 of 1 centimeter, that is the millimeters. And quarter meter is nothing but, quarter meter means 1/40th of centimeter. 1/40, it is more or lesser. Inches means how much it will adjust actually. Inches is nothing but, it is actually 96 pixels. 96 pixels, that is 1 inch is 96 pixels. So 1 inch is 96 pixels. 1 inch will be 96 pixels. And nothing but, so picas is nothing but 1/6th of an inch. 1/6th of an inch. 6th of an inch. So, and points means 1/72nd of inch. It is pixels only. That means what you should prefer while giving the measurement units. So pixels, always we prefer pixels. When we will prefer centimeters, inches and all. Why? Because see, suppose I am designing a hall ticket on the screen. This hall ticket should be printed by our people online. Then it should go on to paper. Generally when you use softwares like PDF or MS Word documents, generally what happens is their paper size will be not in pixels. Their paper size will not be in pixels. Generally the paper size will be measured. The paper size will be measured in inches. That means you have a paper here. So you can see, so you have the options here. So page setup. So when you go to the layout, you can see the margins and paper sizes and orientations will be available here. And everything measurement will be centimeters. You can see centimeters, inches and centimeters. Size you can see it will be centimeters and inches. You can change units. So you can see these are all the paper sizes. You can change the measurement units. You can configure the margins and all. In such situations, it is important for us to define that accordingly. Other than that, so we use pixels everywhere. Regularly we use pixels. Pixels are used for defining the size, right? Now we have relative units are very special. These will change according to the parent elements. So we have so many relative length units, like we have EM, like we have EX, like CH, REM. So these are so relative. So we have like VW, viewport width. We have viewport height, like viewport minimum width and height. So I will tell you, actually, relative units are also very special. A relative unit is nothing but depending on the parent and child, they will apply. For example, see here, suppose I have an unordered list. Okay, so some list item, some item 1 I am defining here. So list item, some item 2. Okay, now here we have some text, Amazon, that is in body. Okay, now what I want to do is here. So for body, I am applying the font size as 20 pixels. So body font size as 20 pixels. So we are configuring that body font size to 20 pixels. Okay, now you can see that body font size is 20 pixels. The same size will be used everywhere, but I want these items to be double the size of body, 2 times body size. If I change body size, it should affect automatically here also. Then how you give the size for the list item? For list item, if I give 40 pixel size, then it will be 40 pixels list item. That's good. Okay, it is working fine. But the problem is here, if I change to 30, then it will not change to 60. It will be same. If I change to 40, this is not changing. It is not changing. In that case, I want this list item to change according to this parent, according to the parent. Then what we do is, suppose I give this 20, here we give as, so 2EM. We give as 2EM. That means it is, EM means element actually, element. EM is for element. That means it will apply the element 2 times the element size, parent element, 2 times the parent element. That means it will be 40 pixels. Then you can see it is 40 pixels. Suppose I am changing this to 40, then automatically 2EM will be 80 pixel. It will change more. That means when you are changing this to 30, then automatically it will adjust the second one. That means if you want to adjust based on parent and child hierarchy, if parent is affected, child also should change. If parent is 100, child should be 50. Not only size. Suppose parent is having 20 padding, child should have 10 padding. Only 10 difference should be there. And if it is changed to 30, it should be 20. Like that, we have to change accordingly. This mechanism is called relative units. And in relative units, we use this EM regularly. Others are used in responsive design. I will show you responsive design in CSS in the later stage where you will use them. Initially, you should know that 2 units are very regular. So absolute units, pixels. and relative units em. These are very regularly used. If you want to fit according to browser, then you can give in percentage also. You can give in configuration with the percentage also. These are so very important when you are configuring the effects and options here. Now, once we know all these units and all, now we can start working with effects. So that means we learned CSS, so selectors, we learned CSS rules, we learned CSS inheritance, CSS colors, CSS gradients, and CSS units. These are very important to start working with CSS. Now we will learn about different styles like margins, padding, borders, backgrounds, font styles, colors, shading, alignments, how to apply them and use them. Those we will see in our next session. So tomorrow onwards, we will start designing some real world examples, right? And all these notes I will upload into the classroom. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue with this.